Hello everyone. Good evening. So I'm Shovik. Today I'm sitting with my good friend Avirup, and today I'm here to talk about technologies that is literally rewriting the rules of our world. I'm talking about artificial intelligence.
To be here, Shovik.
Okay, so let's get straight to the point. So right now, everybody, everywhere where I look, I mainly see companies hyping up AI. So it feels like gold rush all over again. So is there actual money in this process, or is it just buzzword or a bubble that is forming like dot-com bubble?
Shovik, the money is very much real. I was looking at a report from the McKinsey Quarterly called Configuring the Risk of the AI. And the numbers are staggering. They estimate that by 2030, AI could deliver an additional global economy output of $13 trillion per year. Can you imagine $13 trillion?
That's massive. I mean, 13 trillion is like the GDP of pretty medium countries also.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. And nearly 80% of the executives at companies they deploying AI, they said that they are already seeing the moderate value from it. But this is just big, but McKinsey calls AI the double-edged sword. Because while businesses they're rushing to get that value, they often overlooking what they call the knock-on effects.
Okay, so what do you mean by knock-on effects? Is it like the glitches or hallucination that AI are going through?
Well, Shobik, it goes way deeper than a glitches or hallucination. I'm also reading a paper on ethics of the AI and robotics where it argues that we are not just dealing with the technical errors, we are dealing with the fundamental questions about our privacy, manipulation, and whether we are creating systems that limit our human participation.
Okay, that sounds interesting and also ominous because I mean, most of the people actually doesn't know how AI works. So that might be a problem for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely right. And McKinsey, they actually break down this risk into some specific pain points. I think the best way to do is for you to walk me through what a normal person thinks the risk is. I will explain like what the business and ethical reality actually is.
Okay, challenge accepted. Let's do this.
Okay.
Okay. So the main pain point number one, what I think of might be AI risk. I think of my personal data that I am feeding to the AI model while using it, definitely. So I feel like sometimes my mobile is actually listening to me. Like when I might be talking about something else with my friend, and just a moment later, I can see an ad of that thing in my mobile.
Yeah, you're very close actually. McKinsey, they call this as a data difficulties. The problem is the AI systems, they are ingesting massive amounts of unstructured data. They're coming from our web, from our social media, from the IoT and the devices. This makes it incredibly easy to actually reveal some sensitive informations.
Okay, so are you talking about like leaks for data from big corporations like Chat, OpenAI, or Meta?
Well, I will give you one example. Like a hospital, they might react a patient name from the chart to anonymize it. Okay, but the patient name will still hidden in doctor's prescriptions. And if the AI recognize it and runs it, suddenly you have a privacy violation. Actually,
Okay, that's actually bad because I mean AI can actually leak those data to other users, and that can be unethical in the long run and also short run because people who are interacting with AI might come across those data unintentionally.
yeah, it's more than unintentional. There was the where the philosophy actually comes in. The Stanford things they simply said that surveillance is now the business model of the internet. We aren't just leaving the accidental leaks. We are leaving a data trail that pays for our free services.
I guess I knew that was like that only, but hearing it saying the way you said, I mean, that makes it actually worse, sound worse than.
Yes, actually, it get worse. McKinsey, the ones about the security snacks that fraudsters, they actually stitched together some non-sensitive marketing and health data to create actually false identities. And this is the very, what do you think about? I think it's a very frightening picture, I would say.
Yeah, like the mosaic effect.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And Stanford cites our historian Yuval Noah Harari. He says that terrifying question actually, that what happens if the non-conscious beings like algorithms, they actually know us better than we know ourselves.
Yeah, actually, that sounds ominous because if they actually know us more than what we know about ourselves, they might actually control us, like uh, control the decisions that we make if we are actually talking with an AI during the decision making.
Yes, actually, it's the exact fear we are talking. It's called the manipulation. The algorithm actually use the nudges to change the environment and influence behavior. It starts with the people who bought this, also bought that, and it slides into the addiction, generation of gaming, or sharing voting behavior. You know about the Cambridge Analytica
Yeah,
case.
right. So the risk is getting hacked, and there is also ethical risk for about the leaking of data, losing our free will when we are using AI for our decision making.
Yeah, absolutely. Essentially, McKinsey, the one-sided companies, they are seen as a manipulative, they face regulatory backlash actually, and diminished public trust. But ethically, the cost is our autonomy.
Okay, so let's move on to our the second biggest fear. So I have heard stories about that AI can be sometimes racist or sexist because in previously when Google actually released their image generation model, they were actually spitting out images of black Jesus, which might be racist to, obviously, because that is not the case. So how does a machine become racist? Is it just math, or is it how it is made only like that?
Well, it is a very common misconception, you know. The McKinsey, they calls this as a pain point models misbehaving, actually.
Okay, so models misbehaving means like what exactly?
It's more like it's much more serious, you know. Biases happen when the data used to train the model is skewed. For example, if the population is underrepresented in the training data, the AI will deliver biased results. McKinsey give an example of an AI creating targeted offerings by weaving together zip codes and the income data. Okay. It ended up unintentionally, not intentionally, my bad, discriminating in some protected classes.
So it is mainly the data's fault because uh, definitely some parts of the world has more data than the rest of the, like, data from Africa continent. They definitely have lesser data to train on AI models.
Partly you are correct, but it's also the opacity of the system. In ethics, we call this a black box problem. If the deep learning system denies your loan application, often even the expert programmers don't know exactly which pattern the system used to make that decision.
Yeah, that seems actually pretty dangerous for businesses because if they can't control how the decisions are being taken, so that is actually out of their hands, I guess.
It is actually McKinsey mentions a financial institution where compliance software they fail to spot the trading issues because the data feeds change. If you can't explain why the model works, you can't fix when it breaks.
Okay, so what about the people who are actually using those models?
Well,
And
it
also,
can be very much
yeah, and
yes,
also
please.
the for people for which the decisions are being made using those models.
Well, it can be a life altering, you know. I think you have heard about a system called QMPS, which was used to predict whether the criminals would be reoffended. It was found to be biased against the black defendants, producing more false positives actually.
That's pretty bad actually because that can be the a change between jail time and whether you are a free man or not.
Yeah, and here the kicker is actually McKinsey notes that leaders they often overestimate their ability to handle this. They say that we have doing analytics for a long time, we have controls in place. But AI actually evolves, you know. Stanford calls this as a threat of the algocracy. That is the rule by the algorithm. If we create decision-making processes that limit the human participation, actually, we are undermining the democracy.
Rule by algorithm. What do you mean by that? I mean, uh, how can algorithm actually makes a rule for how for normal people?
Well, nobody actually did. That's our problem.
Okay, so let's get physical. So I'm right now talking about robots, self-driving cars, and also the stuff that we can touch, feel. And what are the risks there?
Well, it's called, or McKinsey actually called this as interaction issues. This is the interface between the people and the machines.
Like what those Tesla crashes that happened last year.
Well, exactly, you're right. The accidents happen when operators don't recognize when they should overrule the system, or and this is a common, they are too slow to override it because their attention is elsewhere. It is the hand-off problem.
Yeah, you are correct, but technically humans are also bad drivers in many times.
But true, but you know that human judgment can also be faulty in overriding the systems when they shouldn't. And this opens up a huge ethical can of the worms regarding the responsibility. If a semi-autonomous car crashes, who is responsible actually? The driver who wasn't driving, coder, the manufacturer. Who then?
I assume the manufacturer of the car might be.
Yeah, actually, that's the trend actually. It is noted that accountability is shifting from the individual motorists to the manufacturers and operators. But let's talk about the interaction that worries people the most, the jobs.
Like robots coming for your job, right?
Well, McKinsey then it's that widespread job losses as a major consequence of the AI-driven workplace automation. But Stanford goes much deeper. They said that it knows that this time might be different from the industrial revolution. In the past, automation replaced muscles. Digital automation replaces thought.
So you're saying the fact that white collar jobs might also be taken by AI.
Not entirely, we are seeing a job polarization. Highly skilled technical jobs are in demand, low skilled service jobs are in demand. But the middle, the office workers, the factory supervisors, those jobs are disappearing.
That's pretty bad. I mean, is there any specific area where robots can't actually replace us till now?
Well, here brings up a interesting debate about care.
Care like nursing and hospitals.
Well, yes, there is a push for the care robots for the elderly, but Stanford asks that even if the robot performs the task, is it care? Care implies actually intention. A robot cannot care about you. It's just behaving as its cares, but it's not actually.
Yeah, right. It is actually acting, just mimicking how other behaves, like real humans.
Yeah, without any emotion, they are actually built into that format only. It may seem that they are actually caring, but actually they are not. And Stanford wants this as a deceptive because it's get even weirder with sex robots. Nowadays we are building machines that pretend to love or desire us. The Stanford even warns us that this could objectify relationships and code up how we treat actual humans.
Right, because for them that is they how are they are built. Like they are mimicking how they are been trained, and based on that they are giving results. So we risk forgetting how to interact with people, with real people, if
Hmm.
we actually use those robots.
Yes, this is actually the ultimate interaction issue.
Right. So okay. So we have covered privacy, bias, physical safety, and the economy. So, but I also have to ask about the science fiction stuff, the Terminator scenario. Is it that Hollywood, or it might actually happen?
Well, it's very actually a serious debate. McKinsey they alludes that to the holy grail of the general intelligence, but they mostly stick to the immediate business risk. Stanford, however, discussed the singularity and the super intelligence extensively. Well, let me define it to you. The idea is that if we create an AI that is smarter than humans, an ultra intelligent machine, you could say, it could design even better machines. This leads to an intelligence explosion.
Right. So, exactly why is it that bad? Because it might help us to solve some problems that we have been dealing with for centuries.
Well, ideally, yes, the risk isn't that AI is evil. The risk is a control problem. The AI might be highly competent, but its goal might not align with ours.
Right. The You are talking about the paperclip maximizer theory, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you program a super intelligent AI to maximize paperclip production and it realizes that the human body is also content trace amounts of iron well. It's not just being evil, it's just being efficient. It
I mean,
sounds bizarre.
yeah, that's
Yes.
terrifying.
Yeah, the Stanford, they categorize this as an existential risk or X risk. Even if the probability is low, impact is extinction. So they argue it is worth discussing.
Okay, so you have actually sufficiently scared me enough to not me being able to use AI for the few weeks, uh, for the few coming weeks. So let's change the topic a little. So we have a $13 trillion opportunity, but it comes with a privacy violation, bias, a tiny risk of extension, and also some other variable risks. So if I am a CEO or just a concerned citizen, how do I manage this?
Well, McKinsey actually proposes a framework based on the three core principles: clarity, breadth, and nuances. Let me break them to you. Okay. So first, the clarity. You need to pinpoint your specific task, or sorry, my bad, risks. You can't say that AI is dangerous. A bank needs to worry about bias. A food manufacturer needs to worry about contaminated food scenarios. You need a structured identification approach. And the second is breadth. You need enterprise-wide controls. McKinsey says that you can't just leave this to the IT department. You need the C-suite, legal, risk, and frontline managers involved.
Right. I mean, it takes a bunch of people together working so that they can actually control the AI properly and how is it giving results.
Yes, absolutely, you're right. McKinsey describes a bank where a human loan officer must review the AI's decision to catch a specific circumstances, like a death in the family, that a human foresights provide uh, safety net.
Yeah, and nuisance.
Well, it means like fitting the control to the risk. McKinsey gives a great example. Like a bank decided to disallow certain complex machine learning models because they were too open. They choose simpler models they could explain, even though they lost a bit of predictive power.
So what I have understood that they have actually sacrificed profit for ethical reason, right?
Well, exactly. And McKinsey, they argues that the cost of the AI risk rise the ability to manage them will become a new source of competitive advantage.
Okay, so and from the ethical side.
Well, Stanford, I think they conclude that we need to move beyond ethics washing, where the company just talk about ethics for PR, but we need actual policy and regulation right now because we are largely relying on the corporation to police themselves.
Well, my friend Virup, you have given me a lot to talk about. It sounds like AI is a sword we need to learn how to hold properly. But
Exactly,
right
you're right.
now, properly, nobody exactly knows how to do it. It will take time. Eventually, people will know. So at least uh, for the time being, we can properly uh, analyze the situation and go forward how it is evolving. And based on that, we can take decisions how to properly justify the situation and take actions.
Yes, exactly, you're right.
Okay, so thanks for joining me on this silicon sword.
Thank you. Actually, it's a silicon sword, because AI is just actually that's a very good point. The silicon sword. Actually, AI is a technical thing or which involves a silicon valley or something. Quite good word, referring the AI as a double sword by giving a name of a silicon sword. Good one. Shukran. Okay.
Okay,
Thanks
right.
for your time.
Thanks for being here.
Great day.
Thanks. You also have a good